Our seven traditions states that every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We will now pass the basket. This is a weekly literature or step meeting. Our format is follows. A speaker is asked to talk no longer than 30 minutes. He or she spends 15 minutes on qualifying themselves and the other 15 minutes on either a composition from the big book or the step of the week, which is 7, followed by group shares, discussions, or questions until 7 p.m. We then end with the meeting with the Lord's Prayer, the Serenity Prayer, whatever the speaker chooses. You can find our past weekly meetings on our YouTube page called the Stay Alive Literature and Step Group Meeting, or you can also find information about our upcoming meetings and other great stuff on the Doylestown Recovery Group Facebook page. Do not forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. This brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on February 23rd, 2026 in Doylestown, PA, Monday night, 6 p.m., the Stay Alive Literature Step Group Meeting at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight I have the honor to introduce one of my good friends. Her name is Scizzors, and she stepped in last minute today. I texted her around noon or whatever because our other speaker couldn't come out due to the snow. And so I'm really grateful and thank you for your service. Let's give Scizzors a warm welcome.
Hi, thank you for thinking of me this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Scizzors. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Scizzors.
And straight up off the top, it's an old AA nickname. My real name is Terry. Like, you're free to use it. I might not respond because I'm not accustomed, but it comes from the old days. I mean, way back when nicknames were a lot more common. I used to attend a morning meeting every day, 7 days a week, and there had to be 80 people in that meeting. 6 a.m. meeting in Hermosa Beach, California, and there were 2 Terrys. And whenever there were 2 of anybody, instantly someone got a nickname. And it just fell to whoever had an interesting character trait or whatever. The other Terry had a terminal illness. I collected antique scissors. So they weren't going to say, you know, Terry, the dying one, you know, dying Terry, you know her? No. So instead it became Scizzors. So I got the nickname. So that answers that. So I shared a while ago at a lovely small meeting in Dublin, and there were like 9 men. No one was under 70. They all, you might know what meeting I'm talking about if you know the meetings of the area. And after I told my story, I was shocked by a piece of truth that was fed right back to me. One of the, looked like the oldest gentleman in the room said, in his very soft voice and with somewhat of an accent, "You were a child alcoholic." And I thought, that's absolutely correct. I had just never heard anybody use that phrase before. And I grew up in a place where everybody drank generationally. We know enough about our family history. We were bar owners in Switzerland and Germany, and then in Paterson, New Jersey, in the German part of town. And, you know, I have a telegram from a hospital in Akron, Ohio, 1934. Dear Mrs. Williams, we regret to inform you that your husband, Arthur Williams, has died of a gastric hemorrhage in our hospital here. Like, that's just, he was a railroad man. And when the train was out in Akron and he was doing his thing, isn't that funny? And we still have that little telegram. Akron, Ohio, he dies of his alcoholism. So it was not unusual to serve someone alcohol. I was 13. Graduation party, probably from, I don't know, 7th grade. And my dad got me loaded, and my mother kept telling him stuff, Jim, stop, and he was into it. And oddly, several days, I loved it. And I got a letter from my grandmother several days later that said, "Oh, dearest granddaughter, I saw you in that green silk dress holding that champagne glass. sitting by the fire and how elegant and lovely you looked. And I can just see your future in Park Avenue with crystal glasses and the decanters that like wow, like these guys were really into it. They saw my future involving alcohol, you know? And then it just kept going. And, you know, the most salient feature to my life prior to getting sober would be, it sounds a little crazy, but my younger sister and I were so ill at ease in the world. We were so incapable of participating in life in a normal way, of handing you money at the cash register or buying a pair of shoes or acting normally when in the we were just frozen, broken. It was a crazy life at home. We were bullied at school. We were busted. We just had flinches and tics and OCD and counted steps and pulled out our, we were not well people. And I remember coming home one night. I was about 17, so I had a driver's license. And I, driving home with one eye, listening to Art Bell, this late night with Art Bell. And I got to my sister the next morning and said, I heard a program on the radio last night. I think I know what's going on. It's unusual, but it happens. Apparently there are aliens on the earth. And that's why we're suffering like this. We're not really human. And I mean, I say it now, it's kind of funny, but oh my God, it's kind of heartbreaking. And then we grasped hands, we were down by the water and we looked each other in the eye like, yeah, we'll find a way to get through. We're not really human. That was how ill-adapted we were. And of course there's booze, her thing was Coke, all running through this whole show. That, never imagined that had anything to do with why we were not well-adjusted. But we really believed that until I'll fast forward to when I'm in my, 37th therapist's office and she says, you sound like you drink a lot. You need to go to one AA meeting a week or I won't treat you. I said, okay, I'll go. And I went and it was a Temple Emmanuel, blue basement, blue velveteen, basement of the temple, blue velveteen, 1970s furniture. This would have been 1990. And meetings were still an hour and a half at that time. They all had a break where you could then meet the newcomer, grab them at the break. There were still pay phones in all the churches. And I was through 45 minutes of that meeting. And I ran to the payphone, a phone booth, honest to God, with the little wooden door. And I called that same sister. And I said, I have the real answer. Everyone in this room has lived our life. It's like they were looking in the kitchen windows. They are saying exactly what you and I have lived. We're drunks. We're alcoholics. We have an alcohol problem. And I never looked back. I think I went back to the therapist and said, thanks, but I got something else I need to do 7 days a week. And I have been sober ever since then. Now, those first 5 years, I was in Boston. And the big book, dead in Boston. This was 1990. And I've heard a friend in Manhattan say there was one big book meeting left on the island of Manhattan in 1990. And there's a guy around here who got sober in 1990 in Philly. And he said, you couldn't find a big book. So it's just this odd thing where it was not in fashion for a while. I eventually moved. Someone heard me share and said, for someone with 5 years, you are the sickest person I've ever heard. If you go to this man's house, he'll help you. And I did. And that was Jack Bowen, and he took me through the steps from a Thursday night to a Monday morning. I flew out to his trailer park in Tennessee, never met him before. But I was so desperate. I was 5 years sober and more miserable than I'd ever been. And that's how I got introduced to the big book. And so, here I sit 3 decades later. I have a sponsor. I just started Al-Anon. I also I make use of outside resources. I make use of, just like Step 11 suggests, all kinds of religious outside resources. Be quick to see where they are right, because they have some great stuff in all the religions. And I wouldn't be alive today. There's no way. I just got divorced. So there's a whole new layer of stuff to go through. And I got to tell you, when I dove in, I'll move to step 7. So that's my qualifier, 15 minutes. So that was right?
Right. That's what I told her.
I follow the rules. It's how I manage fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I won't get in trouble if I follow the rules. So I, read step 7 today for the first time in a long time in the 12 and 12, and I was really blown away by, would it be dramatic to say brilliance? I mean, really, by its brilliance. And this thing about humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. And I remember for so long being so agitated by, why are they making such a fuss over the humble part? And then, of course, I got it, right? And there's an expectation that we have a new attitude by this time. And right, what is attitude? Our angle of approach, right? So we've got a new angle of approach. This is the first time, we've been behind the scenes. Steps 1 through 6, we're all behind the scenes, for the show. And then step 7, the curtains on the stage are starting to open, and the overture is about to begin, and it's we were all chrysalis before, and this is just as the butterfly, because now we're giving it to God. And not only are we doing that, but we've oriented ourselves in this humble way. And of course, I understand humility to mean that I am right-sized. That was a very big thing for me. Am I too big or too small? Too loud or too soft? I didn't know how to be, another bozo on the bus, which is all I ever wanted to be. I always accidentally stood out, and I got to be right-sized. Where was the little note? I made little notes. I got so excited. I had such fine thoughts. I don't mean grand fine. I mean like satisfying. Oh yeah, I got it. Sure, I'll hold that.
Okay.
It makes me feel more
Okay.
studious. I guess they weren't so fine. Funny, right? Let me tell you, this relates, right? So I'm going to bring my personal experience into step 7. When my husband and I got married, we had a very frank conversation, and I said, listen, what are we going to organize our marriage around? Let's decide. Some people, they say career. Okay, whose career? And choose a spouse. Okay, whatever your career demands of the family, that's what we'll do. Move, we move. Relocate, whatever. We will organize around your job. Some people organize around family of origin. We're never leaving Doylestown. All my relatives are here. Some, organize around mom in the wheelchair in the nursing home. That's what we're organizing our life around. We're never doing it. We chose my kids' education. And we said, whatever the kids need for their education. And that was a conscious choice. We picked a value and decided that's what we're going to organize our life around. And step 7 is about choosing to organize our lives around humility, around knowing who we are, who I am, being true to myself, and operating with an attitude that is most likely to result in a clear space between me and you, me and myself, and me and God. That's what we're after here. This step 7 reminds me so much of when you have to take out the drain in the shower and then get those long tweezers. and get that stuff out of the shower, because that's what those character defects are in me. And they're just kind of yucky. They're unvaluable. They're kind of gross. And they need to be removed, and they won't go away until I am aware of them. And I think of that with step 6 when it says, we're ready to have. I don't necessarily think that just means willing, ready as in, okay, I'm ready to go now. I think it also means ready as in, I know what they are. I know what my defects are. It's ready as in, okay, I have done my homework. Now I'm ready. I'm prepared. I know what these defects are. Back to this matter of organizing your life, to organize one's life around the whole idea of becoming more useful to God, to others, and to self. That's foundational to step 7. And they say that gratitude and humility are the same thing. And I experience them as such. Whether you do or not, I can't say. I wouldn't say. But I know when I'm in a state of gratitude, when I'm doing gratitude, when I'm having one of those days where I'm consciously observing gratitude, I am right-sized. And I never for a moment feel like, of course I deserve this couch. I deserve. Like the thought wouldn't come to me when I'm in a state of gratitude for having such a thing. And wanting what you have wouldn't occur to me because I'm in that state of gratitude. In many instances, it was really nasty, flat-out humiliation that was my door to humility. And of course, humiliation is not to be humble. It is not humble. Humiliation was being 17 and walking into McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's the senior high school boys, and I'm a junior or I'm a freshman, and I have on no shoes, and my shirt's buttoned wrong, and I have a hickey on my neck. That was humiliating. That night of flirt, and I tell you these things are true. Flirting terribly as very young, with a married man at a wedding, and his wife was there, and she had cancer. And of course, I'm loaded at all these times, But these moments of humiliation, I cringed even then. They helped get me to AA. So it's a funny thing that humiliation was necessary. I had to be embarrassed beyond my capacity to overcome it. Like, no, I will never see that person again. Thank you, God, I don't remember who that married man was. It was some out-of-state wedding, because then I'd have to make amends. I don't even remember any of the players. I operated loaded all the time. And then me, as for so many women, sexual violence was just a constant part of walking around loaded at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night at 17 years old. It was just a part. It was just just part of life. I could not figure out how to escape. Those were all, humiliations. And, I appreciate how deeply this book reminds me. It says it'll take some of us a long, long time to transform everything, all our defects, into a place where we're willing to let them go. Isn't that nice? It says it's going to take me, in some instances, I'm going to have some compulsions, I'm going to have some desires that they persist, they disturb my equilibrium, they're crummy for me, but nevertheless, it's going to take me a long, long time to decide that I can live without those and be ready to release them. And it doesn't explain to me why. It just says that that's the way it's going to go, And it makes me very leery of anyone who, we used to say, don't become a saint by Thursday. You know, like I've heard people say, I don't get angry anymore. I haven't gotten angry since 1972. Like, what the, it's just not even reality based. And this reminds me that that's not supposed to happen. I'm not transforming into a non-human being. We're also reminded that, once we get to that place, and I'm there now with the obsession, what were the words? Obsession and compulsion and desire, that we're going to have to use our will. And isn't that a surprise? After all it talks about, will is of no use in step 1. It is like, what a surprise. It really says, you're going to have to use your will. Will being my intention, right? When I leave a will upon my death, this is my intention. These are my desires. This is what I intend to happen to my stuff. So I am going to actually have to use my will. And I am going to have to, so will, right, has a time and a place in AA. And that will is going to be to use that approach, that attitude, that manner of conducting myself in a way that allows for the humility and the relationship with God to build. It's very active, and I know it's like a paragraph. In fact, you don't even know you're reading step 7 until it says, and that was step 7. But it's actually very active. And I have never been a fan of the 12 and 12 because of those first 5 years when it's all we read and no one told me a big book existed. And I thought I was supposed to figure out the steps from here, which is impossible to do. So I had a lot of resentment against this book for a long time, really, because I felt like it misled me. And now I find it quite wonderful. And of course, this whole adjustment, the use of my will, when I recognize I've got a defect that I need to let go of, is the proper use of my will. And it brings me closer to God because it just puts me in that place where I'm in conversation. And I have to tell you, people don't talk to me that I don't talk to. Like, strangers don't just come up and start chatting me up. Like, I have found that is the same way with God. Like, I had to talk to God before God was going to be talking back a whole lot. And the more I communicate, the more I get back. And I find that especially true around some of the compulsions that I'm looking at right now with step 7 that relate to getting divorced. And there's a lot of feels there, so there's a lot of good material to work with. And that's all I believe that I have appropriately used my time. I did very well.
You did.
A good meeting starts on time and ends on time. A good speaker, really starts on time and ends on time. So, thank you, friends.
Thank you. Thank you. We have come to the part of our meeting where we open the floor to shares, discussions, and questions. Limit your time to 3 minutes. Please try and keep your conversation to the literature or steps shared by tonight's speaker. If you feel like drinking or if you had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. Now I'd like to open it up.
My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic.